Hello, welcome to this Pivot tutorial. Pivot is a funding database, which means is a website that you can browse and search for funding opportunities such as research grants, fellowships, awards and prizes, and some other funding opportunities that live in the world of higher education. Pivot, unfortunately, is not an open access free database. It is through Clarivate, which means is paid. But the good news is that most R1 and R2 institutions in the US provide access to this platform through students' fees and university libraries, institutional emails, or login. Um, Because I'm currently a PhD student and my affiliation is with the University of Arizona, I will log in using my net ID and institutional profile, and I will be then logged into Pivot, and that is how my dashboard looks. The very first action I recommend you do is claiming your profile. So here, because I already claimed my profile, I won't have the option of showing you how to do that exactly. But if you click here on the drop-down menu and choose to claim a profile, you will be prompted to include more information about you. So your current affiliation, your community, so your program or department within your institution, your email, and some more other information. There is even the option of linking your ORCID and some other websites, so other researchers from your university can find you and can establish community with you through the platform. So that community aspect is also something very interesting to explore on Pivot. Next, under the same drop-down menu, you can explore with your preferences. So I find that particularly important first when you manage your preferences in regards to the search, you can select your institutional location, your activity location, so where you would like geographically that your funding opportunities are associated with. And also you can select the citizenship that can be relevant for you in your organic platform recommendations. If you set some of these parameters, you will find that the opportunities that Pivot recommends you will be more aligned with what you were looking for. The same here under alerts. So that is super important if you decide to track opportunities, which I will show you later in this tutorial how to do. If you choose, you can choose either to receive announcements, you can choose to receive email, both or none. The announcements will be this little notification here within the Pivot platform itself. But if you choose to receive emails, it will curate opportunities for you and send to your institutional email, which I find very helpful. And you can select how early before a specific deadline you would like to be notified about that opportunity. Another very important filter that you can use on your own profile is selecting your career stage. So you can see here, because I'm a PhD student, I have the graduate student or pre-doc selected, but you can choose any of the options that align most with your profile. This is particularly for you, so your institutional profile. Later on, I will show how to filter opportunities. So if you're working with students, either undergraduate students or you're mentoring graduate students, you can tailor specific searches according to their career stage. So that will come a little bit later in this tutorial. Once I'm done setting up my profile and within my institution, I will probably want to start looking for funding opportunities. So for that, the bulk of the database is located under the funding tab. Once you browse through that tab, you will find that the first screen you will see is this interactive chart that shows just how much funding is available. And I find it interesting or curious, and you may choose to do that with your students just to think critically or strategically about where is funding uh, or what are funding priorities within this amount for the funding landscape. I find that a very interesting exercise. And when you rest your cursor on specific parts of the chart, you will see that the wider this wheel gets, more specific chunks of funding go to specific areas or specific subfields. So you can, on your own time, feel free to explore with that chart. What I like to advise students I work with, or what works best for me, is not just straight type funding terms here, but go straight to the advanced search, which you will find here. Again, before I use any specific keywords that relate to my research or my interest, I like to play around with some of the filters. And I will walk you through the ones that I think are most important for our students, specifically if you are a student or if you're working with students. Some of these filters for a wide exploration, as I'm describing on this post, you don't really have to worry about, for example, amount. Really, I want to explore everything that is out there from $200 to $2 million. So you don't have to worry about some of these filters. The ones I find particularly important at this initial stage is, of course, the career stage. So if you're working with undergrads, you'll want to select that one. If you're working or if you are yourself a graduate student, you will want to select that first and foremost. An early career or emerging in the field, because sometimes some funding opportunities overlap. But really what you want to do is select graduate student. As I'm an international student, I also like to include the citizenship filter. So I like to include unrestricted and unspecified. You also have the option of selecting a particular citizenship. So you can play with that. In my case, I would include Brazil. I'm not doing that because I want to explore wider results in this first moment. So let's go ahead and do that. Once I hit search, I'll see how many results I get. So quite a few, 5,000 results for United States or unrestricted opportunities, and graduate student or early career scholars. So quite a few. If I want, let's go ahead and refine just for grad students. So it's easy for me to come back to the search and remove. So if I leave only graduate student or pre-doc, let's see how many opportunities we get. So quite less, 2,000 opportunities. You can see very quickly that you have the name and a link to more specific information on the opportunity. You have here the deadline and the amount. So it's really very intuitive for you to browse through those. So once I came through those opportunities, if I find one that particularly interests, let's say because I'm from applied linguistics, let's say I would be doing research on language assessment. I easily recognize the TOEFL, which is a proficiency test in English as an additional language. So say I'm interested in that opportunity and I want to know more about it or track it. I already have here the deadline and the amount, but I can easily select the opportunity and hit track. I can create my own ecosystem of tags. So if you have a tag, you can personalize it and create your own system for tagging opportunities. But even if you don't want to tag specifically, you can just hit add to tracked opportunities. And now Pivot will notify me about that opportunity just because I demonstrated interest in it. So that is super helpful when you are exploring and you don't want to miss an opportunity that might be good for you and you want to explore later on. Another useful feature of this platform is here in this side box here, which has many parameters that you can browse through and also select to refine your search. So this is particularly useful for funding types. So say that I'm entering my dissertation writing stage, so I can focus on dissertation thesis and funding. Or if I'm looking for money to support a conference or a trip for fieldwork research, I can focus on travel or conferences. There are opportunities for publishing, postdoc awards, prizes. So really it's interesting for you to also see all these different types of funding and how they might fit your own career stage and your own interests and what you need. If I scroll down, I can also see some funder types. So where is the money coming from? Is from a professional association or a private foundation or nonprofit? It is particularly interesting at our current moment where the funding landscape seems to be fragile or uncertain, that we think well where the funding is coming from. So if you're also working with students, you can encourage them to think through all those funders and what they are interested in funding, what kind of research they want to fund, let's say. Finally, another tool that I think is super useful, particularly if you're working with students and in a classroom setting or advising setting, is the opportunity to create this search and share it. So if you click share search, you will see that you will receive a link. You can even type them directly through the Pivot platform, but you can copy and paste the link to that specific search and use it in your syllabus or in a classroom activity. I find that is super helpful. Next, we will talk about how to refine even more my search results. So you'll see that 2100 results might be a big number for a student or for yourself to look through each opportunity individually. So another very important filter that you can use to refine that search is the keyword filter. That is, I think, my favorite in working with those tools, because here is where it gets topic specific or field specific to your own research interests. So you have two options here. You can type or you can browse. So let's say I'm interested in digital humanities. So I can type digital and click here arts and humanities and digital humanities. So once I click on that opportunity, it will be added to my query. Let's say I'm interested in rhetoric. So I can type that. And it will keep adding to all the term searches that you have. Another option is using the browse. So once I click browse, it will show me all the little folders with the fields or overall areas that you can browse through. You can either choose this very broad folder, such as arts and humanities. If I click here, it will be added very broadly to my query. But if I want to get more specific, I will use this little arrow and explore the subfolders or sub areas. And so if I'm interested in some part of the design art, for example, say I'm interested in computer arts, so I can go ahead and click that. Or if I'm working in the intersection of linguistics and language and literature and digital humanities, I might, for instance, choose, let's say, Latin American languages or translation. And really, rhetoric is already added because I use the the typing. But yeah, I've spent countless hours just browsing through all those subfields. Really, if you want to be even more specific, you can type. So for example, see if I'm interested in HCI, you will see that technically is under natural and physical sciences, mathematics, and technology, then computer science, HCI. You'll see that another limiting feature of this, you'll see that while the keyword search is very effective in narrowing down the results, it can also be limiting because it will include some type of research interest in this very narrow view of what the field is. So that can be a little limiting, but you can still play around with it. I have found that for folks interested in interdisciplinary work, you probably need to include other disciplines and interdisciplinary aspects. So still using those keywords, my search is probably still very broad, but if I do a sample search now with some of these filters, let's see how many results I'll get. Amazing. So 600 results is considerably less than 2100 results. Still a little bit too much for me to explore one by one, but I already refined the search. Once you have your more refined search, you can select what you want to sort by. So you can sort by deadline, by amount, from the recent to oldest. I typically find that once you set your profile, the relevance filter works quite well. So let's say here under my querying page, my results, I'm interested in this particular opportunity, this travel award for ACM. So not only can I track straight from my search, I can also see more information about that opportunity by clicking on it. So here are the full details, and you'll see that you can find lots of information without even having to access the opportunity website, but I can also do that. So it will prompt me to the opportunity website, and I can use it for my own records. I can bookmark it, which I find useful and convenient. Another interesting feature of the platform is that it will flag potential collaborators within your institution. So again, you have that community aspect that the platform prompts you to think about. So professors or other students within my institution can be potential collaborators just from their profiles. Here under deadlines, I can also see expected deadlines that are upcoming. Another filter that is super helpful in refining your search is selecting not only keywords, citizenship, and career stage, but applicant type. Here you will find some identity markers or identity-based filters that you can apply in addition to your existing filters. So if I select women, I can go ahead and search. And now I see that with the intersection of that identity restriction, I will have 8 results. So that is way more restricted and easy for me to look through. You'll see that they're not only US based, so I can play around with the location as well because I chose unrestricted. But yes, with all those filters, I got to a narrow and identity informed search. Let's say I really enjoyed all those 8 results. Another feature that I can use is select all of them and export as an Excel spreadsheet. So that is a feature that I have used previously because I track all my prospective funding opportunities that I want to look more into. in a Excel spreadsheet. So that can be very convenient if you also choose to do that. You can use the same functionality of exporting in different formats, also with your own curated funding opportunities. So in that case, you would browse through your dashboard or your home, or even in this drop-down menu here. So you would select your tracked opportunities, so tracked ops. And here you will find all the ones that I flagged, so I tracked, and I can do the same. So I can export all of those in Excel or HTML or even on a Word document. So if I click submit, I will also have a download with all my opportunities tracked. Finally, the last functionality that I really love about Pivot is the opportunity to save that search. So if I find that this particular search with those keywords and fields more specifically, and this identity-based filter is working well for me, it is good for my positionality or for the students I'm working with, and I want to keep looking at the results that this particular search is yielding, I can go ahead and save that search. So I can, for instance, create a name for it. So let's say I am naming it very broadly. I know that that doesn't necessarily apply to all the filters I'm using here because I've used HCI, translation, and other disciplines. But now I saved my search. Now, not only I can share my search, but also I have it saved. So again, once I browse through my home page or my dashboard, I have the option of saved searches, or here under the drop-down menu, I have the saved searches. So I have a list now with a specific search, and I will be constantly reminded or updated by the Pivot platform about that search. So my email alerts are on. I probably will receive every Sunday an email with updates from that search. Under options here on this drop-down menu, I will see that I can, if the search is, I find that the search is not working well for me, I can always refine, or I can add my personal tags to a particular search. I can even see archive results, so opportunities that are not active, but probably will be. And you can also choose to not receive emails from that particular list if you choose email off. So the little email icon won't show here anymore if I chose to keep it off. Another functionality that goes beyond funding is the conferences tab. So it will show you opportunities of different conferences that are happening according to specific fields. It looks very similar to the funding search, but focusing more on conferences. So say I'm interested in this conference on computers in education, which honestly sounds like a very interesting conference. So I have also the option of tracking it. I have the link to the opportunity or the conference website that I can use. It looks like it will be in Croatia. So you can also filter through location and a very specific information about that particular conference. So if you're looking for expanding conference attendance or just being more aware of other conferences that are out there, you can also explore through that tab. If you want to know more, you can always browse through your home, and here under Pivot Tips and Resources, there is these additional documentation that you can explore, and they also have interesting videos and other documents that are way more specific than this tutorial, which was really a little of my experience and how I use it and what I find most helpful for you grad student or you instructor in first year composition or digital rhetoric, technical professional communication that you might find helpful. But really there are other sides to this platform, and I'm definitely not a super expert. I'm just also learning and also exploring the opportunities as I move on with my own PhD process. But yeah, that was a initial tutorial on Pivot. I hope that was helpful for you and that you take away some of that and you're interested in maybe exploring this database on a preliminary overview or work with your students to find opportunities or think critically through the opportunities that are out there and where are they going. So thank you for watching, and I would love to keep in touch.